there's thank you so much for introducing me, Sandra. I really appreciate and welcome everybody for welcoming me as well. I am probably the latest latest participant and also the person to join Royal LePage Management. I have just a quick background. I have about 21 years in the industry. I've been managing since 2010, so that gives me almost 11 years. And I've started with pre-construction condominiums, which you are attending today. And we're gonna be able to use strategy today on how to sell pre-construction condos. Some of you might have joined Nathan's seminar where he talks about the ins and outs of what pre-construction condominium is, and the condominium rules and regulations. I'm going to be talking about strategies on how to sell pre-construction condos. With some, there might be some overlap, and I'll just run it a little bit faster on those overlaps. So here's a little thing. For those of you who are here and who have their video on, I'm going to give you a little bit of a quiz and a prize. So I'm going to give you everybody about a minute to turn on their videos in order to go on this quiz. And if you win it, I'll send you a $10 Starbucks gift certificate by email. Just a small incentive. So come on board and come to the video. And then once you're on, I'm going to start asking my question, and by show of hands, and I'm going to be able to see you on my screen. By show of hands, lift it up, and then give me your answer. And I'll take 3 strikes, and the whole team is out. Okay. Okay. So just a quick test. Show me your hand. Okay. So you're all participating. Okay, so I have basically 9 people on the screen out of 28. Anybody else want to participate?
Pretty good incentive. I can't believe anybody isn't jumping in.
Anybody? Okay, so including, oh, there we go. Is it Siddharth Sir? I need to see your video, not just your nice face on the picture. There you go. Oh, Siddharth, how are you? Okay. So here's my question. Everybody's done a condominium transaction. Who's not done a condominium transaction? Resale. Okay. So I'm sorry, you might be at a little bit of a disadvantage, but here's my question, okay? On the agreement of purchase and sale on the condominium, how many pre-written clauses are there on the contract? Saeed? Unmute yourself.
About 27.
I'm sorry, it's not 27. Strike 1. Anybody else? Grant, unmute yourself.
29.
Good guess, but no. Anybody else? Nobody wants to take a guess. That's 2 strikes. 1 more as a group.
17.
Lipping.
17.
Nice try. Okay, 3 strikes. So I'll save my Starbucks card for another session for condominium or something else. So please participate in some of my seminars because there'll be things like this going forward. Okay, just small quizzes, but it's a small incentive. Okay, there is 31 pre-written clauses on the agreement to purchase and sale for a condominium. Okay, one of the reasons why I do these small quizzes and these questions is because we don't need to know that they're 31, to be honest. We just need to know the agreement to purchase and sale. However, as professionals, as licensed agents, we should really know our documentations. And the documents that we work with the most are the agreement to purchase and sale for both freehold and for condominiums. And going forward, I won't be doing a seminar on freehold, so you don't have to memorize the number of clauses on the freehold agreement to purchase and sale. Okay. So stay tuned for another seminar from Jonathan. However, let's proceed. I'm going to share my screen now. Thank you, everybody, 29 of you for participating. And thank you for those of you who came online to show your faces. I really appreciate it. So here's my screen. Give me 1 second, please. Can everybody see that? Okay. So pre-construction condominiums, basically back in, I would say probably 1999, condominium builders started to introduce pre-construction condominiums to realtors to sell. Prior to that, just like freehold condos, developers were opening it up to sales events for the end user or the clients. But they noticed that the rate in which they were selling these skyscrapers or condominiums were very slow. And because they were selling a piece of pie in the sky, they were able to give commissions to agents. And then agents started to sell it somewhere around 98, 99. And I started somewhere between 2000 and 2001. And back then, condo builders were going up and we were just selling multitude. Literally, in one sitting, we were selling multitudes of condos. And on my first day on the job as a realtor, I went to a condominium and I saw this one person who had 10 clients, write up 10 contracts with the salesperson from Tridel. And that day, he literally made, I think the average price was $250,000, 4%. So $10,000, 10 transactions, one day, $100,000 in commission. Just one day. And that's when I was hooked. So I started to learn about pre-construction condos, the ins and outs of it, and how to sell it. And over the years, I became the director for pre-construction condo for Ryder Home Realty, and I managed all of their relationships with the builders, and also having seminars and sales events for the, at that time, 2,800 agents. And we were able to sell close to about 2,000 condos during those sales seminars. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to sell pre-construction condos. And it's not just pre-construction condos, but I want you to use it in conjunction with an investor or investment in passive income. Because most condominium buyers are either first-time buyers, retirees, and investors. And it's the investors who come in or come to you day in and day out in multiple times in order to buy for their children, for retirement, for investment, so that they can have a better nest egg or they can have cash flow. And these are the people who are coming back to you over and over again. The average homeowner buys a home every 7 years. The average investor buys a home every 3 years. So if you have an investor client, you'll get almost 2.5 times more transactions than a homeowner. Okay, a couple of places where you can get resources for your condominium. There's the Condo magazine, which is, sorry, the Condo Life magazine. And they're both online and offline. And a lot of you might have seen it. And there's a lot of information with regards to condominiums in these magazines. And a lot of your clients would pick this up at realtor offices or other places, and they would ask you questions with regards to this. And you should know your information in order to answer these questions. And at the back of this magazine, we'll have builders on a map and where the new builds are coming. And if it's online, these maps are dynamic so that the buildings or the development will change constantly. And you should really access that online so that you know your developments. Another place where you can access new developments is right here on our Stratus. Everybody's seen it. Everybody probably seen the list on the side, but never paid attention to the Condo Corner or RealNet. So starting at RealNet, you can get a lot of access to information from that link. So if you go to Stratus and you click on RealNet, you'll be able to come to this following screen. This is the RealNet screen. So you can select the type of homes, and this goes from detached, linked, semi-detached townhouses. And then here on the bottom where it says all high-rise on the left, we have the apartments, which is the condominium apartments. And you can do a criteria search build based on builders, developments, inventory. You can also do a map search on this, on RealNet. And it will be under the heading New Homes. Excuse me. So you can do, as I circled here, a map search. And then here we bring you to the actual map. And if you click on an icon, you'll see Bijou on Bloor. And this is the one that's close to the Bloor West Village branch. And it'll tell you the specifics of this particular project. Okay. And these are our list of projects that are on RealNet based on regions, locations, cities. If you see the municipality right here, St. Catharines, Georgia. So a lot of people over the years have asked me, hey, Jonathan, do you know a condo builder or a condominium that's going up in Kitchener? And, you know, because I'm not practicing anymore, if I did, I would tell them, but because I'm not practicing anymore, it'd be like, I'm not sure, but you can definitely look for it on RealNet. Whether that be Oakville, Orillia, Brantford, all over Southern Ontario, for that matter. You have the builders and you have the developments. So in this particular case, we have Greywood Developments, or developer, a development called Parliament Street. It's on 33 Parliament Street. It's in Toronto, and tells you, if you click on it, it tells you the specifics of the condominium build. Here it is. Gives you inventory, gives you how many units there are, how many have sold, and contacts to the developer as well. Here's another part where you can use the system tools under the Education Center, under New Homes tutorial. And under the business use, under that same category, you have all these new homes and condos tools that you can use. So you can use here, you would have become a local market expert, find a new home or a new condo for your client, pricing new homes and assignments, or even a resale for your clients or investors. You can even evaluate investment opportunities for your prospective clients. Market active condo projects, and look at other past purchases that people have made. So this is a wealth of information for condominiums that you can access, read, and advise your condominium clients or investor clients on all these information. Under that tab on Stratus, the second tab called Condo Corner is 9 different sections of condominium information. So everything from condominium market reports, status certificates. If you were to sell condominiums, you need to, or resell condominiums, you need to receive status certificates. And some people order them online. And this is where you would order them online. Okay. The condo registry, a lot of times there's condominiums that says MTCC, so Metro Toronto Condominium Corporation. And you can find out what some of these condominium corporations by address are in this category. A lot of people have asked me, hey, Jonathan, how do I do a condominium assignment before the final closing? There's occupancy or interim closing. A lot of builders allow for condominium assignments. And this particular link shows you the calculations and the rules of condominium assignments. And they're general rules because this is not part of MLS or under RICO. So most builders have their own rules for that. Then there's condo news feed, there's other resources, and importantly, Terion. Terion is very important for all new builds, and condominiums must issue them for a new build. And you can find out on behalf of your clients or for yourself what Terion is all about in this section. You can look for condominiums under the map section, as well as articles and videos about condos. So there is a lot of information within the Stratus system in 2 different sections, both in RealNet as well as condominium or Condo Corner, to know enough about condos in general. So basically, I've just shown you where to find information about condos, and you can Google a lot of these stuff. But if you want to get specific resources and information, these are the areas in which you can find them. Okay. So just to highlight some market data that's been in and around for the condo and in this particular year from 2019 to 2020. When I first started 20 years ago, condominiums were probably about 10% of freehold units in terms of the number of transactions. Obviously, the prices are always lower because they're smaller units, but the number of transactions. But if you come today for, I hope you guys can see my cursor. If you come today, even in Toronto West, if you look at detached homes, there's 147 units sold in December 2019. And then for the condominium apartment, there was 191 units sold. So condominiums have actually surpassed detached homes. So all freeholds would probably be similar to condominium. So the number of transactions over the years that condominiums have sold over freehold have almost been equal to this date. And year to date in 2019 for condominium apartment is 3,672, and detached plus probably like semis or sorry, let's go back a bit. Condominium townhouses and condominium apartment combined would be the equivalent to a detached and then semi-detached homes. So it just shows you that Metro Toronto or in and around the Toronto Real Estate Board where we practice, condominiums for the most part have caught up to the number of transactions being sold as freehold homes. And for most people who are immigrating from different parts of the world that come to Canada or come to the GTA, they are already used to living in an apartment setting. And now because the GTA has become a large metropolitan city, we have developed a lot of condominiums because we're running out of land in terms of accessibility land, like for example, accessibility to the highways or even the TTC. A lot of new immigrants or people without cars would want to live in those areas. And that's one of the reasons why condominium sales have gone up exponentially. Okay, so this is just to highlight the condominium sales on Q3 of 2019 to Q3 of 2020. The condominium sales have increased in the first 3 quarters of year 2020, even compared to 2019. And then the average selling price has even gone up, even till mid last year. Although it's gone down a little bit during COVID, but we're expecting that to change. And I'm sure you've found a lot of condominiums are coming back online, and some of the condominiums are going on multiple offers more recently than not. So here we see on the left-hand side that listings have increased in Q3 of last year just because of COVID. Sales to new listings have gotten down a little bit. So a lot of times, even till now, you can take advantage, or your clients can take advantage of the pricing that has dropped a little bit in condominiums, as a lot of people have moved out to the suburbs. Okay, so just to move on, I want to just share what pre-construction condominium is. Basically, as you all know, it's pre-built sales of condominiums without any of the buildings going up. It's just marketing collateral. It's with brochures and it's with pricing. And when they first, when they first introduced pre-construction condos, they said, because it is sight unseen, that we don't have model suites, or we don't have a model whatever kitchen or bathroom, it's sight unseen, we will lower the price than resale so that you guys can buy this as an investment for the future. And then a few years later, as prices start to go up, they said, oh, you can buy pre-construction condos, which are brand new condos, for the same price as a resale. And then a few years later to that, prices still went up. Developers started to say, hey, you can buy brand new condos for future pricing, but at the rate in which prices are going up, it'll be much lower when you close this than other resale condos. So it's very much a scheme of pricing for these developers, but they do give excuses as to why they're charging what they're charging. Okay. So who can buy condos? It's very important to help buy condos from reputable builders. We have builders such as Tridel, Menkes. We have builders such as Canderel Stoneridge. These are larger builders. A lot of them will be very reputable, and how they proceed and use their processes and procedures in terms of sales are very professional and second to none. I'm sure some of you have went to a smaller builder, and some of the risks involved with smaller builders is that they don't develop their units or their building, and some of them you get back your deposit. However, you have to wait a couple of years before that, and some of them after the closing or during the occupancy closing, it's a very rough process to do the final closing with them. Okay. You would also sell these condos to friends and family. These kind of condo builders sell their units to friends and family in different stages of the sales cycle. So, for example, if I was a Tridel builder, I would sell it to my friends and family first. Then I would invite platinum and VIP real estate agents, whom you've all heard about, access these buildings or these units to sell to their clients, and it's exclusive to them. And then after, when the VIP real estate agents have access, then it gets opened up if there's any units available to the public and other agents who don't have VIP status. And depending on the popularity, it can be sold out by the time it reaches the public or other non-VIP agents. So you have to come up with a strategy on how to become a VIP real estate sales agent. A lot of people ask me, hey, Jonathan, this is a catch-22 because unless you sell units, you can't be a VIP agent, but you can't be a VIP agent unless you sell. So there are some ways about it, especially these days, because pre-construction condos are not selling these days. So if you have clients and you can buy one or two from these developers, you would automatically be included in their VIP platinum sales events. So that's one way. Sometimes if you have multiple buyers, you can sort of twist the sales manager's arm to become part of the VIP sales status. Other times when you bother the developer enough, sometimes they do include you. Rarely, however, they do include you in becoming a VIP status agent. There is really no industry standard on qualifications to become a pre-construction VIP status agent. It's whatever the builder deems you are, and whether you get invited or not, and it's totally based on who gets invited to their party. Okay. So what is the value proposition of buying pre-construction condos? A lot of you probably are asking, hey, Jonathan, pre-construction condo pricing are pretty steep these days. Why would anybody buy them? And to be honest, you could be totally right, and I would have to agree for the most part. A lot of people, they need a distribution of deposits over a number of years in order for them to qualify for a purchase. And in order to lock in prices for today, they would want to have the purchase agreement in today's dollars, but be able to put down the 20% that they need, or whatever the amount that they need to deposit, over the course of the next 3 years. So that's one way. And someone that's recent graduate who just got a job might be such a candidate. Sometimes investors, before they sell their property, can take out a 20% equity or from their home, on their matrimonial home, and they'll be able to put down some money towards that. Sometimes there are people who are getting engaged for the first time, and they have saved up, the two people have saved up a little, and they would want to purchase something and then contribute to the amount of deposit. Some people are new immigrants, and before they land in Canada, they would want to buy a condominium, and they would do a partial deposit before they land. And when they land, it could be 2 years from now, 3 years, 4 years from now. And by that time, the condominium would finish being built. So those are some of the ways in which pre-construction condominiums will be sold. Not everybody has the means to sell or purchase resale condominiums. Okay. So as a VIP agent, most of your commissions are in and around the 4% mark. And that's net of HST, which means the HST is included. So when you do your transaction report as an agent, you have to state that it's a new pre-construction condo and 4% is inclusive of the HST. Sometimes there's added bonuses. Sometimes there's compensations. I've had a builder pay up to 6% on a condominium. So for example, if it's a $500,000 purchase on 6%, that's $30,000 in commission. And that's selling a more than $1 million house on a listing or a purchase. If you are a VIP agent, a registered agent with the builder, you are more than welcome to market it and use all of their marketing material, their collaterals to market your the condominiums that you want to sell. You've probably seen a lot of agents, I guess, registered domains that have www.whatevercondo.ca when the builder's address or URL would be www.whatevercondo.com. So they would make up their similar URLs and make it their own so that they can get traffic to their website and potentially sell condominiums through their network, as well as their sphere of influence, their network of purchasers and so forth. Okay. At the close of every transaction, after the final closing of the condominium, your commission, your total commission is yours. However, anything that you've earned prior to the final closing, if there's any issues with closing the property that you've sold, you may have to give back any amount that they've given out. So, for example, some of the builders would say, 2% commission in the first 60 days after the final acceptance of the agreement to purchase and sale. And then, but if your client cannot close after the 4th year or after 4 years of the final closing, you may have to give back that early payment from the builder. And I say you may because some builders will ask for it and some builders will not. And it really depends on the builder and the circumstance. And as far as the condominium agreement to purchases is concerned, under the condominium law, every purchaser has 10 straight days cooling off period, which means they get to think about that purchase for 10 straight days, and they can change their mind or rescind their purchase. And the condominium developer would have to accept that decision that the sales will not go through and the purchaser has canceled their purchase. And a recent change in the law is that once that agreement to purchase has been given to the buyer has to sign an acknowledgement of receipt of those documents in order for the condominium or for that 10 days to start being counted down as the cooling period. That's the latest change in condominium law.
Jonathan, there's a really good question here from Karen. Karen has said it's annoying when agents register URLs and create web pages that are similar to builders' projects names, obviously trying to get the buyers. How is there an easy way of determining whether or not the website we're looking at is the builder site or if it's just an agent site? How would the public know?
Yes, whether it be agents or developers themselves, they would write on that site who the developer is. You would want to Google search the developer first, and the developer always has a link from their site to the development. If by any chance they don't, and it could happen, I guess, you would want to call the developer and ask for the proper URL for the development. That's usually the same question that happens over and over because there's so many agents that develop URLs with their own site for developments. Okay, just to going back a little bit with some of the things that I mentioned with pre-construction condos, the deposit is spread out over a period of anywhere probably about 270 days. So the first deposit would probably be 5% upon signing, 5% in the first 30 days, another 5% in the 60 to 90 days. The last 5% could be anywhere from 180 days to 270 days. So this is common for builders to spread their deposit so that people can have an opportunity to save up for their deposits or get deposits from family members and so forth. And family members are more than welcome to contribute to the purchases to your clients. A lot of people, here's a good question. Some of the deposits are coming from parents. Is it okay if the checks are made out from the parents to the builder in lieu of the children's? By all means, yes, but please speak with the builder so that the checks are consistent. And in Canada, there is no inheritance tax, and there is a gift portion that they can give to their children to purchase real estate. So whatever amount that parents would give to their children is by all means legal and it's allowed. So new condo pricing would be a little bit more expensive in today's dollars, but it would definitely be cheaper than the future development price, which may be 4 years down the line. Here's also a benefit. Your clients can choose the actual unit and their exposure as well as the floor. A lot of times when you're buying resale, you're stuck to a lower floor because you want the exposure, or you want a different or you have a different exposure that you may not like, or your clients may not like, because you want a higher floor. But when you buy a pre-construction condos, you have more choices than what's on the resale. And you get more commission, usually, as I said, up to 4%. And then there's also the ability to do assignments. So assignments are taxable, any gains on assignments. And you can also look at those sites that I mentioned earlier with regards to assignments. And the best part of it is, is being able to sell multiple units within one sitting. And I'm going to talk about that in the later slides. You might say, how do I get to the point where I'm selling 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 units just by sitting in the builder's office and all of my clients coming in and signing all these agreements to purchase and sale? So it's been done. I've done it. You can too, but let's wait for those slides in the upcoming slides there. Okay. So multiple unit sales. In any office, you have peers that you may know. You have mentors, you have coaches, and you have people that you mentor and coach that you can work together with. I would highly, highly recommend that you guys start doing some seminars to your sphere of influence, through your advocates, through your client list. You can advertise them by email. You can advertise them by flyers. You can do a weekly or bi-weekly or once a month seminar to your regular client list. And by educating them, you're able to allow them to prepare in order to make purchases when good condominium projects come up and you would introduce that project to your sphere of influence or to the group, and they'll be ready to purchase at that point. You can have a round table of agents who work together, so who meet regularly to discuss what new buildings are coming up in and around the areas that you work. And you would get all these informations because you can't, it's a lot of information to digest when you're doing it by yourself. But when you spread the workload to other agents, you guys can come together and just do a consolidated effort on knowing some of the buildings, knowing some of the ins and outs, and being able to do seminars on a topical basis by going around to different agents. If one of you has a VIP status in one building and another person has it in another, you are able to share your VIP status and potentially receive a referral agreement or a referral commission, as well as a sale by taking your client to the project that you are representing or your associate is representing. And within the same office, agents on a regular office meeting or so can share condominium market information or project information and things like that to get to have purchasers ready to buy. That's the whole key in selling multiple units. You'd want to do education sessions. You want to do seminar sessions and a group setting with a lot of buyers or potential buyers so that potential clients are ready to buy depending on what their criteria is in their investment or in their first time purchasing or if they're downsizing. And when they're ready, you'd want to be prepared to the T where, you have to bring your ID, you have to bring your checkbook, you have to be able to know exactly which exposure and which level of condominium at like the 10th level or 11th level that you want your client to buy. And you want to have a worksheet for all of that because the builder will give you a worksheet to fill all that in and have them sign it. And soon as if you know all these information, you can have them all filled up on behalf of your client and be able to sell it and be able to sign it and then send it back to the builder as soon as they are receiving worksheets for the sales opportunity. That portion just now is a lot to digest, but I want you to keep in mind that information is key, knowledge, and working together with other realtors in your sphere is very important. And accessing those informations on which buildings are coming up, what are the pricing, and when is the VIP or the sales event that I can participate in. Okay. I want to take about a 2 or 3 minute break just to field any questions, Sandra, if there is any. I'll just minimize, and then if you can ask your questions by unmuting yourself, that'd be great.
Yeah, the questions that we had thus far, there was one that was, as you answered, from Mary Cosentino asking what you suggest would be the best way to become a VIP agent. And you did establish that A, it's obviously a number of sales, and B, that we've got slides that we're going to be talking about moving forwards, which is great. And then there was another question. If at some point you could go back into Treb, if you're still logged in and it hasn't booted you out, just to show people again how you get to RealNet and show them again just the navigation from Stratus to get there. And the last question that I have in the chat is, are there any resources or websites to research reputable builders beyond RealNet or anything else? So if you want to address those.
The last question would be no. But when you go to a site, you'll see some of the reputable builders building in very expensive areas in the city, as well as building multiple projects. And that would be one of the key ways in which you would know that they are reputable builders.
Is there anything wrong with using like a smaller sort of boutique builder? How would you research such a builder, really?
Right. Not necessarily. As long as they have, like some companies just do boutique buildings, and I totally understand. But as long as they've done projects in the past, and not just within the last one project or the one-off, but over the years, several projects, And that way, you would know that they are reputable builders for doing a lot of projects.
So where would you research that particular information?
There really isn't. You'd go to the builder's site. You go to the specific site of the builder and see the number of projects that they've done over the years. Like even Tridel used to be, for example, a house renovator in the beginning, and then they became a house builder, and then they became a house luxury house builder, executive type of style, and then they went into condo building. So they do have like a history like that. And then, so here's the answer to the question where, where do you access RealNet and Condo Corner? On Stratus, under search, and on the left-hand corner, there's a list of links. And you can see that there's a RealNet and there's Condo Corner. If by any chance yours doesn't have these links, and I'm pretty sure everybody does, you can go to the keyword search and then you'll be able to find it.
Jonathan, Andrina is asking if you could show the assignment calculation slide one more time. I think she'd like to take a picture of the slide.
That's something that I don't want to show. But, actually, that's my next slide that I'm going to be doing.
So Andrina, what I will do also momentarily in the chat is to post the link to our assignments dynamic agent session, which is delivered by Ahmed Helmi, which will be happening in the next couple of weeks. I'll drop the link to register for that session shortly.
I have another question, Jonathan. You had mentioned that pricing is based on future value.
Yes.
And I'm a little bit nervous today in COVID market promoting pre-construction because the condo values are kind of up in the air and they're on the low, they're on the, down, they're going down.
Right.
So
right.
I wouldn't want to promote a condo when in 4, 3, 4, 5 years, it's worth less than what it is today.
Right. So as I mentioned in the beginning, in order to promote pre-construction condominium, especially these days, you have to widen your presentation in such that you'd want to tell your potential investor or your client, hey, there's resale condos and they've been doing this kind of sales history over the last few years and the last few months. There's these kind of purchases, let's say they're duplexes, triplexes, and fourplex, fiveplexes, they have been doing these kind of returns on investment. And then here is pre-construction condos. You might not be in the market for it, but I still want you to know about it because later on, your children might be, you might be as you retire, or your parents might be as you retire, and you want to plan ahead. And for those people who want to plan ahead, you might want to consider pre-construction condos because for planning ahead, they are a very good source of investment. It's not the same cup of tea for everybody. But when you expand your offering to your client, then you're educating them on the pros and cons of the different types of potential investments on passive income or first time buying or downsizing so that the right kind of property is catering to their needs. Okay.
I guess I'm most concerned about the condo builders going on history and saying, well, in 3 years, the condo is going to be worth this much. Well, they don't know that right now, especially in today's market.
Right. And we very much have to do and give advice with the most tools that we have, with the best tools that we have. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen next hour, for that matter. However, generally, given the history and the graphs that's been utilized by TREB and by the data analyzers, trends do come into play, and future markets are determined based on the trend that have happened thus far. And the other thing I want to mention to you guys, if you don't know already, is when interest rates are low or they're at all-time lows, new construction pricing are pretty much at the all-time highs, as well as resale, but especially new construction pricing. And that includes freehold houses as well. Like if you were to go look at a development, a house development, a freehold house, brand new, it'd be a lot more expensive than even a completely renovated house. Okay. Okay, so here is the screen for assignments. What is an assignment? I briefly mentioned it earlier. Excuse me. An assignment is the ability in pre-construction, is the ability for the buyer to sell the paper or the contract, the agreement to purchase and sale to another person who has interested in that particular project or unit. It cannot be on MLS unless the builder allows that, because it's the builder who owns that particular building or unit until you do your final closing. So only the owner is can have the ability to put it on the MLS. So you would have to, as an agent, you would have to get permission, or as a buyer, you have to get permission from the builder to put it on the MLS. Okay, so again, what is an assignment? It's for the buyer's ability to sell the agreement to purchase and sale for a profit before the final closing. Most builders allow the assignment to happen during the occupancy closing time. So there's two different closings in condominiums, an interim closing or an occupancy closing, which is the same thing, and then a title closing or a final closing, which is the last part of the closing. So somewhere in between, where the condominium builders will have to get you to move in or get your clients to move in and then register the condominium corporation before a final closing, that's when most assignments happen. Okay. Until recently, the CRA hasn't gone after some investors for gains in their assignments. But now I've seen CRA go after clients or condominium investors all the way back to year 2000 on any gains that they've achieved on their assignments, and then charge their capital gains or their income tax, as well as the HST portion. If your clients are purchasing condominiums for investment properties, you have to be HST upfront to the builder. If your clients are using it for their primary residence, then there's no HST, there's credits on the HST, and your clients will not be subject to HST charges. Again, your clients will be subject to income tax on capital gains. On some of them will be calculated as income, and some of them will be charged as primary residence, and there'll be no taxes. My next slide will be calculations on assignments. And you definitely, as I mentioned earlier, you need the builder's permission to put it on the MLS, as well as to do the assignment. Even though there's a clause for assignments for builders that they put in the agreement of purchase and sale, there could be a charge to you as a seller from the builder, as well as need the builder's permission. And during the occupancy period or the interim closing, if you want to rent it out, you need the builder's permission as well, because it's still not yours to rent out. Okay, so the reference here is, again, going to Stratus, the condo center, and then the condominium assignments section. So I'm going to give you about a minute to look this over, and then I'm going to start explaining what condominium assignment calculations look like. And I'm going to go over this very briefly because an assignment seminar would be totally a seminar on its own, not part of this seminar because it is extensive. But this particular slide will give you a good look on how assignments are calculated. Okay, so if your clients purchased pre-construction condos for $400,000, HST is included, and your deposit is 20% over 207 days, let's say, and that'll be $80,000. And then let's say about 3 years later, during interim occupancy period, the assessed value or the market value of that particular purchase was around 500,000. So the purchaser generally has increased their purchase or their condominium value by about 100,000 over the last 3 years. So so the buyer would be thinking, hey, I might want to take that $100,000 and walk away and netting that amount, and somebody else could take it over. First of all, when the other person or the next purchaser takes over an assignment, for whatever reason that they cannot close, the original purchaser must close on all purchases. So the original purchaser is not scot-free. They don't get to walk away without getting their shirts dirty or their hands dirty. However, if the second purchaser made a down payment or a deposit, then it would definitely help the original buyer close on the original transaction and keep some of that gains from the down payment that the second purchaser has made. So in this case, the current value or the assigned price would be 500,000. The assignee would have to come up with, let's say, 20% of the 500,000, which is 100,000, plus any of the deposits that's been made by the original buyer, which is 80,000, totaling $180,000. So that's quite a lot for the second purchaser to come up with in order for them to purchase a $500,000 condominium. But there is a huge market for assignment. A lot of people do come up to $180,000 worth of deposits in order to purchase a $500,000 ticket item on a pre-construction condo in order for them to move in or for their children to move in, because they want the location, they want the floor, they want timing in terms of moving in. Okay, and that 180,000. You don't have to give it all in one shot, but it could be divvied up as per the timelines of the closings for the occupancy and the final closing. And that's agreeable by both parties. And then the balance of the 500,000 minus the $180,000 deposit would be the mortgage or cash at hand that you need to, or your clients need to provide for the final closing. On top of that, there are final closing fees that you need to pay, such as utility hookups or charges, builder's lawyer fees, condo levies from the city, and other fees that the condominium might charge you back to. And the closing fees could be upwards to about $20,000, $30,000, even for a one-bedroom condo. So you're not just looking at 400,000, you're probably looking at 450,000 before final closing, or 550 or 60,000 for the person who took the assignment. And again, Sandra will share this on the PDF. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, this is a slide that I told earlier. Who you can get to buy pre-construction condos: newly grads, couples who are getting engaged, foreign workers with work permit, investors, landlords who want to manage properties, second homeowners for children who are going to university, new immigrants who get jobs within the city limits. Every year, approximately, and next year, the Canadian government wants to increase the immigration entry to 400,000. But every year, approximately 350 new immigrants come to Canada. And approximately 40% of them come to the Southern Ontario GTA area. That basically is more, that's around 140,000 people who are looking for new homes. And mind you, they're a family, right? So if couples come, we need to divide this by 2 and so forth. But there are not just new immigrants that are buying, but there's new graduates that are buying. There's couples that are buying. There's downsizers that are buying. So this market is huge in terms of investors, primary homeowners, downsizers who are looking for condominiums in general, not just pre-construction condos. Okay, all pre-construction condos, now I would say 99% of pre-construction condos would require a pre-approval, a mortgage pre-approval. And you must go to a financial institution and not a mortgage agent. Your mortgage agent will not, cannot, should not give the approval of a pre-approval for your clients for them to qualify for a mortgage. And the builders will not accept mortgage brokers pre-approval. Having said that, on occasion, some of them will, but they would ask for a bank's letter. And you might ask, this person is going to close in 3 years from now, 4 years from now. Who knows what their financial status would be? How can I give them a pre-approval today? The pre-approval is based on today's financial status of your client. Not 4 years from now, not 4 years ago, but today's qualifications on that purchase price. Okay. And the banks that partner up with the builders will do a 3-year rate hold for your clients, which is amazing. So if your clients get, let's say, 2.5 for a mortgage, 5-year mortgage, for a closing that's going to happen 3 years from now, that's amazing. They'll hold that. But those are usually the partners that are sitting inside the builder sales offices. Our Royal Bank partner, Smith, will also hold rates for 3 years. And Smith is a representative of Royal Bank from across the street from the Bloor West Village branch. Okay, this is, we're almost done, but this is a quick calculation, and I'm using simple numbers. There's a lot of other factors to consider, but please look at this on a simple level. Okay? If a condominium purchase, whether that be a pre-construction or a condominium purchase, was $600,000, and most of the downtown condos are as such, and there's a deposit of $120,000, which is 20%, it would happen over the 30, 90, 180, 270 days, for example. The balance due would be $480,000. And that's to be mortgaged or paid in full upon closing. The rent in general, I know, we've recently have gone below the $2,000 mark, but rent in general is about $2,000 per month for a 1-bedroom unit. And that would give your clients or the investor $24,000 a year. If you take 24,000 and divide that by 600,000, you will get a 4% return because that's based on the purchase price. But if you take 24,000, divide that by the investment that your clients are putting, which is 120,000, you'll get a return of 20%. So it's actually better if you have 240,000. It's better to buy 2 condominium units than if you're to buy 1 condominium unit. But that's not the same across the board. That really depends on factors of your client, whether they can afford buying 2 condos, carrying the mortgage, paying the property tax, and if they're short on utility fees or maintenance fees and things like that. But this is a general basic calculation. So when I do a return on seminar, I use this illustration to show that clients would get 20% return on their money that they've invested. If you take a value increase in condominiums for the most part have averaged about 7%. Some years even as high as 15, and recently from last year is probably either negative or 0. But it's averaged around 7 to 8% a year over year for the last, I would say, 15 to 17 years. So if you add an extra 7% in the increase of the value of the condo, then you would get either 27% on return on investment or 11% on return on the purchase price, which is both of them would be much higher than if your clients would be just putting money in the bank. Okay, so here's a question. If your clients' kids, or if your kids for that matter, in the future or now, if they came to you and said, hey, mom, dad, I have $120,000 I'd like to invest in a condo, and I want to mortgage the rest, which is $480,000. What do you think? And I think for the most part, you guys and your clients and for their children, they would say, hey, son, hey, daughter, that's an excellent idea. You're learning to invest in real estate. You're learning to know how to manage your finances, and you'll be able to pay off that mortgage over the course of the long run by either a renter or by you working there, or sorry, by you living there and working and paying off the mortgage. But if your children were come to you and say, hey, mom, dad, I have $120,000 and I want to buy stocks. And furthermore, I want to borrow $480,000 and put $600,000 into stocks. I think everybody would flip out and say, are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Why would you be spending $600,000? Never mind $120,000 on stocks. You're going to lose your shirt. You don't know what you're doing, and you're going to do everything possible to keep them from investing in stocks. So it just shows you the mindset of people when it comes to investing in real estate and leveraging up to 80%, if not more, to buy a home or to buy an investment to rent out. And that's why these 27%, this 11% returns on investment is excellent for either a pre-construction condos or a condominium for to live in or resell and passive income investments in real estate. That is it in terms of my presentation. I hope I was able to give you some strategy, some thoughts to inquire more and give you those links and some answers that you can come up with by doing some research so that you're able to come up with a strategy to work together with other people in order to sell more investment properties, including condominiums and pre-construction condos. Any questions?
Hey, it's Grant. I just got a quick question for you,
Sure.
Jonathan. Thank you for the presentation. Very well done. Just, in complete baby steps, can you walk me through the process of your clients reach out to you, they say there's a great project they heard about, they want you to, they want to purchase a unit at this building. What do we do at that point? We're not a VIP member. They just give us the basics. What's the next step?
So if it's a building that you're able to go and do the sale, and if your clients give you the reason, hey, it's close to my work or it's close to my university, no matter how expensive it is, no matter what, if they want to buy, they're going to buy. Okay. But I would hope that you would give them the ins and outs of what it means to invest in pre-construction condos and the risks involved versus the benefits as well. Having said that, if they are in the midst of a platinum VIP or VIP and they don't allow you to go in, you won't be able to go in unless you find someone to work with who is a platinum VIP or a VIP. And generally you would have to give them a referral of 25%, usually, which is 1% of the four that you would get. And most people would be okay with that. There are some greedy agents who will say, no, I want 2% from you, which is half. I want 1.5% from you, right? But there are more than enough agents who have VIP statuses in that building that you can find to give a referral. And that's the same way. If you had a client, if you're working in Toronto, you had a client in BC, you're going to refer your client in BC to an agent in Kamloops, BC, or Vancouver. Then they're going to take care of that client, and you're going to be able to make a referral fee. So in the same way, you're going to ask this agent to, you're going to pay them a referral fee. That's your client, but because they're in the same city, they have access to the building, they would want a referral fee. And if you're okay with it, give them that 1%. And then meet some of the developers, and by going in there and getting to know the sales staff and things like that. And hopefully down the line, you'll be able to get the VIP status as well.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, basically what I was trying to figure out was, let's say I have access, I walk into the building sales center, and at that point, okay, I'm just asking for a worksheet at that point, and then I take the worksheet back to my clients. We pick and choose everything they want, and then what, I'm submitting it back to the builder.
Right. So yes, but I want to give it to you in a different direction. If there's a condominium building that your client's interested in, please go there on your own. Speak to the salespeople, and they will tell you the ins and outs of the condos, the benefits. And you want to keep that when you're communicating with your client. When they're ready to purchase, you're not going to take a worksheet at that point. You're going to just bring them to the sales center. And as soon as you bring them to the sales center, the salespeople at the sales center will do everything for you. They are very professional. They know their building. They know their contracts. All you have to do is stand by them and just bring coffee or bring water for them. That's really pretty much it. They'll do everything for you. However, you should keep two things in mind. First thing is to learn to cap the levy, because what the city charges the builder, if you don't cap it as an agent, and most builders will cap it, but if you don't cap it as an agent for your client could pay through the roof in uncapped levies. And if you cap it, let's say they could benefit by paying only $15,000. If you don't cap it, it could be as high as $50,000 or $70,000. So you want to take that into consideration, capping the levy tax. Okay. Number two is if they do purchase and they sign the agreement to purchase and sale, after it becomes firm, after the 10 days, the builder will contact you to sign the agreement of cooperation and representation on their own form, not on the resale form that we have on the RICO or RIA form, so that you can get paid. That's all you have to do.
Okay, thank you.
John, what's that levy stuff? I'm not sure I understood that clearly.
Okay, basically levy is what the city charges to the builder in order to build infrastructure around the condominium. So that's schools, roads, water piping or the sewage systems and all of these things. And that's charged to the builder, and the builder redistributes that to the unit purchasers. And you need to cap it. So if there's if the city charges, let's say, $2 million in levies to the builder, each unit builder divided by, let's say, 200 units in that building would pay the same amount. But first come, first serve, whoever caps the levy, then people who don't cap the levy has to pay more than other people. And it's unfair, but the one requirement of a sales agent such as ourselves to have the most benefit for the buyers is that fact that we help them cap the levy, because we can't explain the condo better than the salesperson there. We can't do any of the explanations. We don't know the thick contracts that the salespeople know. All we're doing is, holding their hand, bringing them to the sales center and standing by their side. But you want to say, hey, dear Jane or dear Joe, what is the levy cap on this building? And they'll tell you, and you say, make sure that my clients are capped on their levy so that they're not paying more than they have to.
That's a great point. The other question is that, how do you find out who are the VIP agents essentially? Do you need to talk to the builder directly, or are there some other way?
Most of them do advertise and do URLs that are on the internet. When you type in a Google search of that condo, you won't find out every VIP. Just like if you were to have a party and you invite people and I don't know you, I don't know all your attendees, right? But if I were to knock on your door, I may be able to see one or two people that I know. But you never know who the exact VIPs are. But you can definitely try to search on Google who they might be by searching the project name. Any other questions?
Jonathan?
Yes, hi, sir.
Oh, hi. Going back to what you said about assignee not being able to close, can that assignee sell the assignment to the third party or the second buyer or the third buyer, I'm sorry, so it becomes a third assignee?
Right. So
can you?
Technically, legally, yes. However, the builders will never allow more than one assignment. I've never seen any builder allow more than one assignment on a condominium, pre-construction condominium purchase. But legally, yes, you're correct.
Okay, so it goes back to the original buyer, and that person will have to close a deal. Now, what happens to the $180,000 that I paid you?
Your loss, because you can't close.
Okay.
Yeah, just like
all
any
right.
other transaction.
I don't get it back. I don't get it back.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Karen has a question, Jonathan.
Okay.
You had mentioned making sure you represent your client by capping the levies.
Yes.
What's a reasonable amount? Like, I have no clue. Is it like $5,000, 20, 40? Like, where should I be working to, like, what's the amount?
Right. If you were to sell a lot of condo units, you would know by experience.
Okay.
But if you were to go to a builder and say, hey, Joe, I like my client's levy capped at 5,000, and you wouldn't know. They will smirk at you and say, actually, for this bill, the cap for one bedroom would be 17,000, Karen. Then you would say, oh, okay. So it's the builder determines the cap.
Oh, they do? So I have to
Yes.
ask them what their cap is?
Right. It used to be such that we would cap them all at $5,000, and that was the going rate. But now, what happened was when everybody tried to cap it at 5,000, it got skewed to those people who didn't cap it, and they would pay like 70,000. So builders would try to mitigate that by saying we're capping everybody at 17,000. If you didn't cap it, the most they may pay is maybe like 25,000 or so. What do you guys think about the strategies and working together with other agents to consolidate your efforts in doing pre-construction condos and projects? It's absolutely necessary. I'll give you an example. 2017, I did a condo called L Condo on Yonge Street subway line near the North York Center subway, 2 buildings down. And I got the VIP status and I worked with the builder. I brought in 3 of my associates to sell and do seminars to all of our clients. And we were able to sell within a span of 1 week. But prior to that was between about 5 to 6 weeks of seminars. And then 1 week hand-holding within the 10 days after. I shouldn't say 1 week, 10 days. So a total of probably about 7 to 8 weeks, we spent selling 21 units. And between the 4 people that did this project, we were going to be grossing $250,000 each. So that's about 8 weeks of work. So it's definitely, some people, you know, it takes them 2 years to make that. Some people, it takes you 1 year to make that, but we're able to do some of these projects, accomplish a certain amount of deals and get, of course, down the line, 4 years from now, but get paid about $250,000 each. So that'll just give you some incentives to work with other people, do seminars, know your projects, and be able to find the ins and outs of all of these pre-construction condos so that you can have your clients, have your purchasers, investors ready to purchase at any given time. Okay. Okay, I think we are about an hour and a half into it. So if there's any other questions, or if there isn't any other questions, I think we can call this a day. Thank you all for participating. In the future, please sign up for some of my seminars. I'll ask some questions that you should know. And maybe at that time, you'll get a $10 gift certificate at Starbucks. Thank you, guys. Enjoy your day. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hi, Ariel. Bye, Ariel. Bye, guys.